the general direction of the underlying currency. So the euro index will determine the general direction of the euro. The dollar index will determine the general direction of the dollar. But when you're dealing with FX, you're dealing with two indices. You're dealing with the dollar index and you're dealing with the euro index. And what we do, we try to pair it. We try to pair. So we try to pair the dollar with the weakest. So you pair the dollar index with the Aussie. So you're choosing the strongest index to buy and you're pairing it with the weakest index to sell. So the euro, for example, will be going down, or let's say the pound is going down, or even the Aussie is going down, but it's not going to be going down equally with the same kind of weakness against all the other pairs. It is going to be making a bigger extensive move against the dollar because the dollar is stronger, so you're going to get a bigger move when you take the dollar, Aussie, and so on. And that's why we do the indices. Okay, so let's now go. The first thing we're going to look at is the dollar pairs, and we're going to start with the strongest of the currencies and with the weakest of those. So the strongest and the weakest is the Australian dollar, and this was our selling point to go short the Aussie dollar from 104.43. It is now at 103.77, so we do have a pretty good about 75 pips on this move. If you look at the chart for the Aussie dollar, you can see that, and you might have noticed when we were talking together in the room, in the mentoring room, the Australian dollar is one of the currencies that is very, very or reacts very well to these structure points. And if you would have taken those trades from these structure points without giving it too much thought, if it's below the 104.43, you're going to go short. If it's above the 103.94, you're going to go to buy it. We would have had, or most of you would have had, very successful trades again in the Aussie dollar for at least the last 4 months. The Aussie is very respective, if you will, for a lack of a better term, with these. So right now what we have is it tested the 104.73. The high was pretty much it tested it. You see there 104.736. It just went through it and it just sell off. And if you'd have taken it below the 104.43, it took us all the way down, trading below the 104, the 103.94, and we closed the week at 103.77. This is a very good setup that we want. We want to sell it, and it makes our buying for the Aussie very easy. If it goes above the 103.40, the 103.94, this will become our buying signal. So we are going to put the buy above 103. This is going to be our buying point. It is a structural point, so it is going to be our long point and our structural point. And of course, in this case, it will be also be our stop. On the short side, if you look at the intraday chart, there is your 104, and it broke through it and it came out of the New York session all the way nicely. There is your 103.94, and this would be here our buying point. That's the whole idea. We'll be buying it if it gets above that structural point. And we will place our stop pretty much there because it is a structure. On the short side, We closed the week at 103.78. The low of the day is 103.64, so it's only about 14 pips away. So we will short it below 103.64. And if I go short below 103.64, my stop is going to be right above the 103.86. So I'm risking about 25 pips on this trade, and my structure short point is right there. So pretty much if we do trade below the 103.64, it should take us to the 103.28. That is going to be our next structure short point, and this is now, if it gets to the 103.28 and it does like this, so this would be a point where you can look to take profit or you can exit from. So we're looking to be shorting. The bias is to short the dollar Swiss. We're going to take a short. We're going to short it below the 103.64, which is the low of the day. We have a structure short point at 103.28, and our stop is going to be 103.86. On the long side, we're going to go long above the structure point, which is the 103.94. That's going to be our structure long point and our stop. Okay, that is the Aussie dollar.